Hello out there for my ATL sports fans. Hello, Old Legacy fans. It is myself, T. Will, and my good friend, Mr. Jordan Burton, and we are coming to you tonight, starting our epic pilgrimage through the MCU. And tonight, Jordan, we tackle Captain America, the First Avenger. Now, I got to be honest. This was not my favorite movie initially because it was a period piece and they just tend to drag, at least for me. But watching this a second time, I really had an appreciation for the movie, the storyline, and honestly, just the character Captain America himself. So, normally when we start this, I ramble on. I'm not going to do that tonight, Jordan. Tonight, I want to hear what you have to say. So, let's talk about it. Give me your thoughts. Just give me a synopsis of this movie, your thoughts on it, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes.
All right. I want to say where I'm at with this movie. I remember going to see this. I remember the lead up to this movie. So right before this movie came out, we had gotten Iron Man and the Incredible Hulk. That was and this was the movie. I mean, by the title saying the first Avenger, this was the movie that was going to lead us into the Avengers. Um, and I remember I was like, oh, who's play Captain America? And um, for me, going into it, I was like, Chris Evans, really? Like it was the first time ever that I can recall where I had not an issue with the casting, but I questioned it, right? And because I had known him from playing the Human Torch in Fantastic Four was the Silver Surfer. You know, I mean, Chris Evans was hilarious in those movies. I have some nostalgia for those movies, but I was like, can he get bigger? Like he's a pretty skinny dude. I remember the first time I saw this movie, I was like, I thought that was him in the beginning of this movie.
Ah,
Before he has a super soldier serum, I thought that was Chris Evans.
damn.
Um, but Chris Evans, I mean, since this movie came out, and then over the last 15 years, I have grown to admire him, and I will not look at Steve Rogers as anyone else. I mean, when it comes to Steve Rogers, it's Chris Evans, right? And he's been just awesome, and I feel like every single time I get to watch him as Captain America, it's like you're getting a better experience from Chris Evans.
Yeah.
Um, but going into this movie, I knew who Captain America was. For those who don't know Captain America, um, Captain America was a World War II um, super soldier. He was injected. I mean, before he was super soldier, he was just this normal guy. The movie, I think, it probably exaggerates who like he is before the serum. But he gets this he to put it, I mean, everybody knows how the Hulk gets his powers. Very similar to that, only this is the first iteration of like a serum being injected into anybody. Um, so, anyways, in the comics, yeah, he's just this normal guy. He gets this serum and he fights in World War II. He leads the U.S. for victory and ultimately sacrifices himself to save the world. And depending on what comic iterations you look at, a lot of different things happen. But the one which is my favorite, which is the one that was shown in this movie, was he sacrifices himself by going into the Arctic, uh, trying to prevent these nuclear weapons from being, or in other iterations, it's nuclear weapons. In this, it's more of like Infinity Stone weapons from the Tesseract. He saves the world from a potential chaos, And yeah, I mean, and right before this movie, a couple years before this movie came out, I don't know if you have watched it, but there was two animated movies that came out for Ultimate Avengers,
Yep.
and that take on Captain America was, I mean, this movie and that were almost identical in terms of how they were characterizing the character of Steve Rogers, and getting his story into being Captain America. This and the Avengers movie itself. But that is one of my favorite adaptations, and this this took the cake. This was everything I wanted. I know a lot of people. I understand why people can find it boring, because it's a period piece. But I think it does. I think it does such a great job of doing the 40s aspect and aesthetic, because like you look at Captain Marvel, for example. I mean, they like have to tell you like it's the 90s. Like, hey, blockbuster, we got blockbuster.
Yeah.
We got to dial in to get to call someone. We got to get a payphone. Like it's and I'm like, really, like it's you don't have to tell us, just show us. And that's exactly what this movie does. I think I mean I've rewatched it like 3 times this week, because I love this movie. I gave it an 8 out of 10. 8 out of 10 for me is good. Anything 5 and higher is a positive review from me. It's 5 and higher is a movie that I will recommend to someone. So an 8 out of 10 is a really good movie. Think of it like a B. I don't have very many negative things to say, and I think the one part of this movie that slows down is the montage scene. That's when I notice a lot of people start to lose interest in the movie, is that montage scene. But every time I watch the montage scene, I'm like, we have not gotten something like this, man, in so long. It's so fun to watch. Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna stop talking. I'm gonna get your opinions on this. What do you think about this movie?
Well, I got to be honest. The first time I watched it, it was kind of, and I'll be honest with you, Jordan. I'm almost ashamed to admit this, but I'm gonna admit it because I mean, hell, I brought it up. First time I saw it, it was kind of a means to an end, right? It's like, all right, we know the Avengers are coming the next year. This was released in 2011. Avengers was released in 2012. So I kind of watched it with the attitude of, can we hurry this thing along, right? Which I shouldn't have, because to be honest with you, in my humble opinion, and again, very humble, I'm not a movie critic. I'm not a writer. Uh, Captain America, the Captain America series has been the best of Marvel outside of the Avengers, in my opinion. And looking at this a second time, I liked it a whole lot more because you know what? I got past the fluff and the anticipation of the Avengers, and I really just took my time to watch this movie for what it was. Right. So a couple of things. Number one, in the Hulk, in Iron Man, in Thor, these are all heroes, but they have challenges they got to face, right? They have character defects. Tony is a narcissist. Bruce is a tortured soul. Thor is an entitled prince, right? But Captain America is truly one of the most kind, unselfish, duty bound individuals already known. He's already a hero inside. He just doesn't have the body for it. And to be honest with you, in my humble opinion, this is going to sound really goofy, but Captain America is to Marvel what Superman is to DC. He's pure. He's pure. Mm-hmm. He is the best of us. And going back and watching this again, and if you haven't seen Captain America Brave New World, cover your ears. No, not really. But it made sense as to why he chose Sam. It made sense because when the doctor, Erskine, I believe, is talking to him. He says, strong men, if you give a strong man more strength, he's not going to appreciate it. But if you give it to a weaker man, he knows what it's like to not be strong. So he's going to appreciate it and use it as it should be. Captain America was chosen because he was truly the best of us, right? He's unselfish. He hates bullies. Both of his parents were pillars of servitude, right? The dad was in the 107th, I believe, or some infantry unit in World War One. The mother was a nurse and she died of tuberculosis. And to say that Cap is from humble beginnings is an understatement. But yet and still, in all of this, he is such a humble, duty-bound young man. This young man tries to go to 5, 6 different offices just to be picked up so he can go and join the war. And let's be honest, probably get killed, right? But his sense of duty, his sense of service is so profound that that's what stuck out to me, right? It when he's in the camp at first, and the captain, the colonel, the whatever his name is, Tommy Lee Jones character is talking to Erskine, and he's like, "Look, this guy's strong. This guy's whatever. You know what I mean? There's certain things you just can't. You just can't fake. You just can't teach. You just can't substitute." And he pulls off the pin of this fake grenade, throws it in there, and his guy that he talks about runs. And the only person that jumped on the grenade is the little weakling Steve Rogers, right? And then there's a scene where they go to this flag and they're like, "All right, men, no soldier has gotten this flag in 17, 18 years. I need you guys to bring me that flag." And they're all trying to climb to the pole, and because they're physical beings, they're physical creatures. They're used to using their brute strength. And they're all trying to climb to the top of the pole to get the flag. And Cap just says, "You know what? Okay, let me look at this. Wait, there's a pin here. Let me pull it out." And the flagpole just comes down, walks over, gets the flag, says, "Here you go, Sarge." But it lets you know that Cap is first and foremost a thinker. He's a thinker because he's had to be, right? He's in the theater. This guy's mouthing off, and he's like, "Look, man, can you stop? Can you have some respect?" And he's not upset because he's mouthing off. He's upset because this guy is clowning the war effort, which is a big deal to Cap. All right. And of course, hey, this is Cap the weakling, so he goes outside. Cap gets pummeled. But in what I love about this, because honestly, Jordan, I'd forgotten about this. So remember spoiler alert, in Endgame, when it's just Captain America, everybody else, they're all fighting Thanos. It's just Captain America, and Thanos has kicked his ass. And half of his mask is kind of off. He's beaten. All of a sudden, all of the armies of Thanos, which is just like the devil. The devil never attacks you when you're strong, right? All of the armies of Thanos descend upon him, and it's just Captain America. And Captain America looks at him and says, "I can do this all day." And it gave me chills because I remembered that in the scene where the big bully is beating the crap out of him and Cap won't go down. And Cap says, "I can do this all day." And so I really, really appreciated this movie the second time I went and watched it. But yeah, man, those are my thoughts. So let's get to a couple of things. One, what did you think about the fact that they give him this super serum, but they initially don't let him fight? Give me your thoughts on that.
I don't know. That didn't make any sense to
It
me.
didn't
That's
make any
like
sense.
it's like drafting a quarterback in the first round and not starting them. Like I mean, but I
That
mean,
was not nice, Jordan. I just want to know. Shots fired. That was not nice. But it's okay.
you
It's
have a
okay.
soldier You have a super
A
soldier, and you're
super
not going to
soldier.
use him.
You got him out
So,
here singing choirs in a chorus line. That makes
mm-hmm,
no sense, right? I'm sorry. Go
mm-hmm.
ahead.
No, I mean it didn't make any sense at all. Even looking back on the movie, when I first saw it, it didn't make sense. To this day, it didn't make sense. I think Tommy Lee Jones's character was more just he didn't care. He just thought this guy is this. He wants guys who are actually equipped to be in the military instead of some like enhanced individual. So, I mean, it didn't make sense. I will point out that um, every time I've watched this up until like last year, I've gotten the sense that Steve Rogers had just needed the body to be to be this Captain America. But even after when he gets the body, him going through this whole process of like killing this fake Hitler, like punching this fake Hitler and like doing the Bonds thing, he got the body, and still people won't look at him the same. People still won't take him seriously, and it's only until he has to put himself out there and take a risk and save his buddy Bucky that people finally understand him.
I'm gonna take that a step further. I believe Cap, even though he has the body in his mind, Jordan, he's still the 90-pound weakling.
Mm-hmm.
Because anybody else would have just asserted themselves, like, I'm not doing this. Do you know what I can do? Somebody else
Mm-hmm.
might have send me 3 guys over here and beat
Mm-hmm.
the crap out of them and demanded to go. Cap doesn't do this. Cap goes along with what they say. And it's interesting because this is the beginning of the arc of his character. Because he does not initially push back. He goes along with it. It's not until his friend is taken that he's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do this. But it lays the groundwork for who Cap is in days to come. And I just loved it. I think what I'm really going to love about this, Jordan, is we know how the story ends. So going back to the beginning, we get
Mm-hmm.
to understand so much more of the complexity of these characters. By the way, Antonio's in the chat. Antonio said Cap had heart and empathy. And common sense, and he did. He really did. That's a great analysis of him, Antonio. He really did. But just in looking back on his character, initially in his heart, he's still the 90-pound weakling, right? He's still, oh, you want me to go and sing show tunes? Sure, which is ridiculous. Tony wouldn't have done that. Bruce Banner wouldn't have done that. Thor would have told you where you could go. Okay? Thor would have told you what to kiss. He would have told you where. Steve Rogers is the only one that would have been like, okay, guys, you want me to sing show tunes? I'll do it, because he is really about service. If this is what it takes to win the war, then so be it. And it's not until his friend is in trouble that he's like, nah, man, bump this. And he goes, and you know what happened. He goes into camp, kicks some butt, rescues all of those guys, and they come back. And it is only then that Tommy Lee Jones' character is like, yeah, okay. Which kind of, to me, it kind of says that Jordan bias is real, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh
Bias
yeah.
is, it's like, look, um, he's still, well, what it says, he still sees Steve Rogers as this little 90-pound weakling, even, which is ridiculous, right? It's ridiculous because he was there. He was there in the
Mm-hmm.
lab when they throw him in there. He knows what's happened. Matter of fact, he saw Steve go after the guy and catch him. So if anybody should understand the prowess of Captain America, it should be him. But guess what? I think the director and the writer is showing us that prejudice and bias kind of bleeds into the heart of logic
Mm-hmm.
because it's like, bro, this dude can take on 20 people. This dude can jump 50 feet. This dude can run 45 to 50 miles an hour. Why would you not put him in with the most destitute of men today? He can really help them. You got him out here singing show tunes? Like, what is wrong with you? And it made no sense. And to be honest with you, in the real world, I don't think this happens. I think as soon as Cap gets out of that lab, whatever contraption that is, they ship him off a
Mm-hmm.
minute later, right? But you know, it's Hollywood, it's a movie. I just think it speaks to the heart of bias and prejudice in that, you know, because Jordan, I don't like you, right? Who you are
Mm-hmm.
speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. I can't see there being a war effort with you in it because I don't like you, which is ridiculous. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but I really like that about this. Like I again, I got such a great perspective of it going back and looking at it a second time because I could see, okay, this is why this happened, and this is why this happened. And it's just interesting at looking at Captain America, the first Avengers Captain America, and shall we say Civil War Captain America, where he's like, I'm not just gonna go along with this because you guys say so, because I'm from a time where they did that. And I see how it turned out. And I'm not just gonna go along with it because you guys say so. This is wrong. This is wrong at the core, right? And it's interesting. Tony Stark and Captain America. I know I'm talking about everything but the first Avenger, but it's just it's in watching this,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan. I really got an understanding of Cap's character and his thought process and his personality. Right? Tony is like, okay, we need to be put in check because the arc of Tony's ascension into leadership is redemption, and the arc of Captain America will always be service. And at a certain point, these two come against each other because Cap says to Tony, this doesn't sound like servitude. This sounds like internment. And
Mm-hmm.
bad things happen when guys try and get ahead of stuff that they have no business trying to get ahead of. And we
Mm-hmm.
see the conflict, but all of this is laid in front of you in the beginning. And you know, again, the Red Skull's character, which I thought did Hugo Weaving or Hugo whatever his name is, I
Mm-hmm.
think he did a great job. I think he was a great Red Skull. I think he did a great job. But and he is the true enemy of Captain America because where Captain America is humble and hates bullies, the Red Skull is the ultimate bully. You know, he's all about superior man and you have to be superior to wield this weapon. And he's so arrogant. And his downfall is the fact that you think that you can control something that man wasn't meant to control, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I've spoken for about 5 minutes. Give me your thoughts on the juxtaposition of Cap and Red Skull and Cap and Tony at their core.
Well, with Red Skull, I mean, Red Skull has always been seen as kind of the opposite of Captain America. Maybe not like it's not as literal as like Superman and Bizarro,
Yeah.
um, but it's both. I mean, Red Skull at the end of the day, he was supposed to be a super soldier, and he is what happens when the serum is given to someone that is the complete opposite mindset of Steve Rogers. And I mean, we a lot of people, which since Thunderbolts came out, it's people have had a very different take on U.S. Agent and John Walker. But John Walker was, I wouldn't say the opposite of Steve Rogers, but he was flirting with that Red Skull side. He this is where Steve and John, like, if Steve and John got to actually meet, which I mean, there's a chance that they do in Doomsday, and that might be where John Walker's redemption really ends. But if they were to meet, yes, they'd have a lot of differences, but where they would agree is when there's a battle, they're both going to do whatever it takes to make sure that their side comes out on top and lives are saved. And John might take that a little bit too much to a higher extent, and that's where we see some issues in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and that they're just different people altogether.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, of all of the pre-Avengers, first Avengers movies, all the origin stories between Thor, the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man, and Captain America, this movie is doing the most impact among the newest saga. I mean, you look at, I mean, talking about like what you were saying with the scientists and like being a good man and versus a good soldier, and that's exactly why Sam is Captain America. It's because he's a good man. I mean, I remember when before Endgame, people were debating like, oh, who's going to be the next Captain America, Bucky or Sam? And I never had a preference. I always liked either idea. But I had some skepticism towards Bucky because of his past, and that's exactly where they went. Is that because of his past, and he's a good soldier, but Sam is a good man, and you know that. And we look at it in the whole Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. The whole Falcon, I really enjoyed the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series. I know a lot of people didn't, but I really did. It really is a reflection of the aftermath of this movie because of that arc that he has about being the difference between a good man and a good soldier. That is the entire premise of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
And it does so much to that. Then you look at what it does for Captain America: Brave New World. There's still some echoes from Falcon and Winter Soldier in that. And then we see in Thunderbolts with John Walker that same thing. So yeah, I mean, how much this movie has influenced the last 5-6 years of Marvel is actually crazy to think about, especially that this movie takes place in the 40s. So but getting back to your point with Tony and Steve, now I've always been on Captain America's side. During Civil War, I was Team Cap all day, every day. I like going into the movie, I was Team Cap. After the movie, I was Team Cap. To this day, I'm Team Cap. And I've had a lot of people who, even to this day, very strong opinions saying Iron Man was right about Civil War. And I'm like, we were proven that Cap was right based off the events of Infinity War. But anyways, yeah, and this is Steve and Tony were right in their own ways, right?
Yeah.
Like you need to have some freedom.
Yes.
But you can't give anybody just any of their freedom.
Right.
And like you do need some to be held in check a little bit. And that's where like while I was watching Civil War the first time, I remember like them going through the events of like the aftermath of all their battles and like all the people that have died and the wreckage, and it was heartbreaking. I mean, you're seeing all these people die, and I mean that was a meme for years. It's like, oh, all these superheroes like leave all this debris and like all these people are dying and stuff like that. And they actually made a movie where it's like, hey, you guys are doing this, you need to stop. So I mean, I understand in other movies after Civil War, there have been instances where you look at what like some battles and you're like, okay, I see where Tony's right. And then you also look at some movies and you're like, especially Infinity War, you're like, Steve was right.
Mhm.
So they both have, I understand their mindsets. Um, and I love that in the first Avengers movie and in Age of Ultron, even when they're butting heads, they know when to stop and they know when to go and save everybody and they know when to work together. And that's what made Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, their chemistry together
Yes.
is been incredible. And it's something that we are missing in this newest saga. We're missing that the chemistry between our two leads. Like, I don't know who the big three is in Marvel right now. I really don't know. People can speculate: Doctor Strange, Shang-Chi, Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Now you can probably throw in Yelena into that mix. Even Bucky. Like there's so many characters you could debate, but it's not as obvious as it was with the big three with Thor and Captain America and Iron Man.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're really missing that, and it was incredible to see Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans for what 10 years working together. This and even like showing that they can butt heads and disagree on things, but they will come together and when it matters most, agree on the most important things.
I think that's what I loved again, and you're so right. Going back and looking at this, um, it just made me appreciate this movie so much more because you know where it ends, right? So for me, in Age of Ultron, Cap and Iron Man have a discussion, especially when when it comes out that Banner and Tony created Ultron, and Banner's like, "Not right now, not right now. Don't do it." He's like, "No, no, it's not. It's not funny. It's not even a little funny." He's like,
Mhm.
"Bruce, all they got to do is tickle your little underbelly, and you go right in your cave."
Mhm.
Guys, this is the end game. He even says, "This is the end game here. These guys roll up to the club. There's no backup. This is what this is about. It's criminal that you guys don't see this." And Tony says, "Well, I know." Cap says, "Well, we're in it now, Tony. And whatever happens, we'll do it together." And then in Endgame, Tony, who's coming back from outer space at the edge of death, says, "You said we'd do this together. I told you this would happen. I told you this would happen, and you didn't listen to me." And he's literally angry. And he says, "I don't trust you." And they end up working it out when they go back to where this all starts in New York, and they're in the battle and they got to go back in time, and it's their only move, and it's fourth and whatever. And Cap says, "Do you trust me?" And Tony says, "Yeah." And we ultimately see how it works out. But going back and seeing this movie, this entire series, you could break it down to the relationship between Tony and Steve and Captain America and Iron Man and how they have to work together. And isn't that just like life? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Isn't that just like life? Like it's and I agree with you. There are times where I think both are right, right? And I don't think there's a wrong answer. There's some people that if you told them if you had to live in a totalitarian regime where you had no rights but everything was provided for you and there was no crime and nothing happened, some people would be like, "Okay." And then the other folks would be like, "No, give me my freedom. I don't care how much crime there is. I don't care how much death that is. Give me my freedom, right? Give me liberty or give me death." And that's the argument that's going on here in Civil War, right?
Mhm.
And it really is ironically, you would think that Captain America would stand with the government when they do certain things, but he has the privilege of wisdom because he's 100 years old, so he's seen these things play out. He's seen what happens when you give a government total control, right? The main thing he says is, look, what if we got to make a decision that you guys don't like? What happens then? What if we got to be somewhere and you guys have us going somewhere else? This is not good. We need to be independent of the government, so to speak. But he saw this. As a matter of fact, Sam brings this up when he's talking to Thunderbolt Ross, when he's like, well, we'll just work it out and bring back the Avengers. And he's like, well, what if we got to be somewhere that you don't want us to be?
Mm-hmm.
Or what if we disagree on something? And I think that is kind of, again, but that started 70, 80, 100 years ago with Cap. So I love this. I really, watching this a second time, I really love this movie. Let's talk about, well, first and foremost, let's get to Antonio's question. He says, how can all the superhero stuff and them fighting for the world going on and not see Superman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, or Batman make this happen? It will be the highest grossing movie ever. Well, Antonio, although it's probably a good suggestion, you have DC and Marvel Comics. These are two, well, competitors and two totally different entities, and I just can't see this happening anytime soon. Not that it couldn't happen, because I know there have been projects with DC and Marvel, but by and large, I don't think it happens because I don't think it serves both of them. But I don't know. Jordan, give me your thoughts on this.
See, after Endgame, I had a very strong opinion on this. That depending on how Marvel and Disney wanted to lay out the rest of the movies, rest of their projects, eventually you would get to the point where you're through all the biggest and baddest comic book villains, and depending on how successful DC was with their movies, that there was a chance, especially with multiverse. I mean, you could figure out multiverse is the best way to do this.
Yes.
But I think there is a huge chance. I don't think it should happen for a very long time. Like I'm talking, I should be in my 50s when I see that happen.
I'll be dead. I will have long shuffled off this mortal coil. All right, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Here's the thing, like, and all right, it probably gets back to DC just kind of screwing up a lot of their movies. But James Gunn's the lead. James Gunn's the lead. He's still buddies with Feige. Feige still talks about, he was at a conference the other week and he was talking about Superman because Feige's a nerd like all of us.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about Kevin Feige so much is he's about the comics. He's about making entertaining content. And that's why he was spread really thin during the last 4 years. Yeah. But I think there's a chance, and I think if Warner Brothers Discovery, if them and Disney wanted to like have a meeting and say, hey, we have an idea for a great movie. We have all of these characters already developed, because that's what you need. You can't go into this movie without developed characters. You need these characters developed at their peak. I don't think Marvel's anywhere close to that right now. If you asked me after right before Infinity War, I would have said the Avengers are I would probably say right before Civil War, I would have said the Avengers are at their peak. And for DC, I personally, Zack Snyder's Justice League was one of my favorite movies of all time.
It was great when they released the full edition.
Yes.
Because
I can't even stand that original cut by Joss Whedon. But that I really thought after that movie came out, I was like, they're gonna build a whole the universe again. Like we're gonna get and they didn't. Even though Zack Snyder's Justice League could have made a lot more money. Like if if you release that in theaters right now, even though a lot of us have already watched it on HBO Max, that movie's gonna still make a lot of money for you.
Yeah.
It's gonna get people to watch it. And I'm not a Zack Snyder head. I know when it comes to DC, there's people who are like heavy Zack Snyder and against James Gunn, and heavy James Gunn and against Zack Snyder. I just want good superhero movies. I'm looking forward to Superman this year. I'm also really nervous just because it's a new Superman movie. I was a big Henry Cavill fan. Man of Steel is one of my favorite movies, comic book movies ever. Um, I, I think there was an opportunity there for Warner Brothers to make money, but they were so egotistical that they didn't want to fold to Zack Snyder, because by giving him his own universe, again, you were like saying like, we surrender, we gave up, we're waving the white flag. So I think at one point there was a chance that this happened. Right now, I don't know if it happens. And as for can the Avengers beat Superman, that's where the logic of the DC introduced this. There that like you're more powerful in certain universes than others, right? So would Superman coming and fighting the Hulk in Marvel's universe, would he be weaker? Would the Hulk coming to DC's universe be stronger? We don't really know. And I mean, the Avengers, if we're talking the original 6 from the Avengers movie, I mean, nobody's beating Superman.
No, but the Sentry,
there are characters. Yes.
Yeah, the Sentry could take on Superman.
Oh, absolutely.
Jaspers could take on Superman.
Mm-hmm. Adam Warlock.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Franklin Richards might kill Superman because he's a reality warper. So there are entities in the Marvel universe who will kick Superman's ass because, again, Superman is great. Superman is not a reality warper. He is not. So when you talk about that level of power, the Beyonders, that's a little different. You get what I'm saying? Now, the Superman would thump the Avengers. It wouldn't even be a fight. The only person that could give Superman a fight would be World War Hulk. He'd have to get that mad. Like, you'd have to catch him just coming from that planet, getting here on Earth, insert Superman, and there you have it, right? As a matter of fact, even in World War Hulk, Sentry and Hulk fight. And Sentry says, finally, I can let loose on somebody. Go ahead. I can take it. Let's go. This is fun, right? It's like when Johnny Storm died, and was it Thor and the Hulk, maybe? And they go to the thing and they fight him, but they're fighting him because he needs to let it out. And they don't really fight him. They just kind of let him punch and let him do whatever. But he essentially starts to fight or whatever. And then he just starts to cry because he needs to let it out, right? This was his best friend. But my point is that the Sentry and Superman, especially the Void, would be a good damn fight. I'd pay money to see that. I would pay. Honestly, the Sentry and Superman, they probably would tear up the universe because the Void is not going to stop. Void's not going to stop, right? Heaven help you. The Void is more powerful than the Sentry. Even if it's Sentry fighting Superman, you probably would give just a little of an advantage to Superman because the Sentry has to not only fight him, but he's got to fight back the Void, right? But if you're talking about the Void, like dude said in The Wire, yeah, nah, man. So I don't know. Point is, there are entities that can take on Superman. So let's look at the relationship between Captain America and Agent Carter. Because I gotta be honest, in Endgame, It's so many movies in the Marvel universe. I kind of had forgotten about there. Not that I forgot about it,
Mm-hmm.
but I had kind of forgotten about it in that Cap really didn't get that much time with her. Hey,
Mm-hmm.
Jordan, the beautiful thing about going back, and I think this is going to be fun,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing how this whole thing is, it gives you an appreciation for what the character goes through, right? So in Endgame, when he's like, I just want to go back and live my life, and he did that, and he's like, Sam is like, well, do you want to talk about it? And he's like, no, I don't. And I understood that because I think Cap's character, of all of the characters in the Marvel universe, Cap's character sacrificed everything. So did Tony, right? But Tony had a life. Tony marries Pepper Potts. They have this kid. Tony had a life. Cap never had that. Cap's existence from the time he became Captain America up until Endgame, he's always been fighting something, someone, some entity, some idea, something. And so at the end of it, he's like, nah, bro, this is for me. This ain't none of y'all. This is for me, and it's going to stay with me. And good for him that he finally gets to go and have a life with Peggy. I just thought that was great. Give me your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I mean, so I tried watching the Agent Carter series. I think I watched a couple episodes, but I still have to watch all of it. I don't know if we're gonna do a review on it because it doesn't connect to
Correct.
this.
Correct.
In fact, it contradicts the short series, the short that Marvel put out of Agent Carter when Captain America first came out. Which I mean, all the shorts in that Marvel released, none of them really matter all that much. They're just added filler information. But like with Peggy, I mean, I know recently a lot of people don't like the character because of multiverse stuff like that. But at the end of the day, we're talking about like the this version of Agent Carter. Um, I loved I loved that they brought an older version of her back in Winter Soldier for Steve to say like to for Steve to talk to, but her mind wasn't there.
Yeah, right.
And then she passes away in Civil War, and that added a little bit more emotion that we really didn't see in Captain in Steve Rogers. Um, and it's something that like Tony was trying to look for the this like Tony had been trying putting in all the work into this family for years, and we see that post Iron Man 3.
Right.
We see him just trying to put into his life and get married, have kids, and he finally pulls the sacrifice play that Cap was pointing at that he wouldn't do in the first Avengers movie. And for Cap, I don't remember what movie it was or what villain said this, but he's always been in war.
Yes.
That's all he knows.
Yeah.
After World War II, he gets out of World War II and is instantly in an alien race fight in the Avengers. And then after the Avengers comes the government conflict of Winter Soldier, and he's trying to fight his best friend. And then after that, he gets into the issues of Age of Ultron. He's fighting an AI robot. And then after that, it comes to fighting his own friends in Civil War. And then after that, he's on the run and trying to run from the government. And then he gets into Infinity War and he's fighting another alien race.
Galactic conflict, right?
Yes.
Yeah, with
And
Thanos.
he loses half his friends,
Yeah.
and he hasn't had no stability or any calm in his life. And it's so ironic that his best friend when he got out of the ice was Sam,
Yeah.
because Sam is someone who's spoken to veterans and trying to get them to speak up and just let loose. And it's funny that Steve was in this fight and he finally had someone to talk to, and Then I mean, he finally when Endgame comes out, even um, I mean, he found maybe some calm in doing like basically Sam's job during the blip during the whole
Yes.
period 5 year
Yes.
time.
Yes. Yes.
Um, maybe that was some calm, but there was always that itch that he couldn't scratch because he, at the end of the day, he wanted to save lives, and
Right.
he didn't do that, and he realized he lost at the end of Infinity War.
Yes.
But he finally realized that he finally can settle down after this whole time. He has the perfect opportunity, return the Infinity Stones, whatever he did, because to this day we still don't really know. I would still love like a little special on Disney Plus or a movie, just going through like how he returned the Infinity Stones. I think a special would probably benefit that more. But and just him getting back to that.
Look at Antonio. Antonio, you wild, man. Antonio, you are a wild dude, man. Give me Cap Superman powers in the bedroom. Oh wow. Oh man. I forgot what the hell I was about to say. Oh my god. Oh, I love it. I just love Antonio, man. Antonio is a special breed. Antonio is one of one, damn it. Oh my god, this dude, right? Okay. That literally made me forget what the hell I was about to say. Oh yeah, okay, I remember now. I think the thing about, and you're absolutely right. Cap really had no chance to have a life, no chance to have a sense of stability, and I get why he did. Um, I get why he did what he did at the end of the movie. But you know what? If for nothing else, right? I think what Marvel really did well was they wove moments together in a story. They from the beginning, from Iron Man 1 up until Endgame, there were certain connective pieces that were just woven through the tapestry of the MCU. And one of those, which again, going back and seeing this, man, I'm going to tell you something. Jordan, I'm so glad you made me do this. And not that you
Mhm.
made me do this, but I'm glad that you chose this because I got to be honest, I didn't want to do it in the beginning, but I'm so glad we did because
Mhm.
it gave me such a profound understanding of just the MCU in general, right? So, for example, there's a little short or a little blip on YouTube, and it's in the moment in Endgame, and the caption is we will never have another moment like this. And it's an Endgame after he's just said, I can do this all day, and all of Thanos' forces descend on the earth. And I'm gonna be honest, I'm in the theater like, oh shit! Like it's literally 100,000 beings against Cap. And all of a sudden we hear Cap on your left. And you see Black Panther and his crew. And you see Ant-Man. And you see the entire Marvel universe. Even in talking about it now, I have goosebumps because I remember that moment. And it was a moment, Jordan, I just wanted to stand up and cheer
I
because
did.
it,
I did. I watched that movie 3 times opening weekend. I did all 3 times.
oh wow. Oh shit. Okay, so it's not just me. Because bro, even in watching that short, I must have watched it 10 times because I remember where I was. I remember what I had on. I remember in that moment because right before it happened, I'm like, oh shit, oh my god, and you just hear Cap on your left, and when you look at the relationship with Sam and Cap, Sam is always comforting him. Sam is his reassurance, Bucky is his brother. Sam is his reassurance. Sam is his conscience. Bucky is his brother in arms. And it's so simple. On your left, Cap. And you can see it come over Cap like, oh, shit. And it begins to build and build and build. And he's breathing harder and harder because he's saying to himself, this is the moment. And when the entire Marvel universe gets there, what's he say, Jordan? He says, Avengers. Assemble. Oh my God. Oh man. Oh.
You know, I worked at the movie theater in 2019. I got to clean the theaters afterwards. Like Antonio saying, like there was people throwing popcorn. Oh yes, there was. I was the one cleaning it up.
Oh wow.
I remember I would go into because we had to go in theaters and do theater checks and just check in, see everyone was doing what they're supposed to. And I remember going into theaters and seeing all those reactions, and I never got tired of it. It is like watching replays of the Eagles and Saints winning their first Super Bowl and seeing fans reactions. It's the same thing. And it's incomparable, and I just always had a smile on my face every time I got to see that reaction. I feel privileged to have worked in a movie theater for that year specifically, because it was that year we had the most billion-dollar movies released ever. Yeah. So I was honored during that time to be working at a movie theater, and I would it's so hard to even tell people the experience of watching people cry, watching people cheer. Like I was crying in Endgame and Infinity War, because Endgame, I was just telling someone about the final battle the other day, because when I was little, I had OCD. I used to line up all my action figures in a row. And
I have it too.
Yeah, exactly.
You are so much weird. Get out of here, man. Like I gotta hit my car alarm 3 times. I gotta lock the door 3 times before I man, bro, I swear to God, Jordan, you're me just 20 years, 30 years, whatever. I'm sorry. I mean it, bro. Go ahead. I was like, of course guy has OCD. Of course he has OCD. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I used to line up all the action figures just like you saw all the characters at the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
And seeing that the first time, the second time, the third time, I went to the theaters because I got like up to 3 free tickets a week because I was working at a movie theater. So I went to see it like 5-6 times. I've never seen any other movie more than 2 times. And I saw that movie like 5-6 times, whether that was by myself, I brought friends along, brought family along. And just every time I saw that scene, it reminded me of my childhood before Iron Man, and before, like, sometimes before even the Fantastic Four movies. And it was just incredible. It was an incredible experience.
I just got to be honest, man. And it's funny. He's like, I cried at the theater. I cried when Tony died. It hit me. When Spider-Man says, Mr. Stark, and it hits him. Oh my God. Oh my. I was crying rivers.
And he said Tony.
Right.
He said Tony. He didn't he didn't even say he said Mr. Stark, Mr. Stark, Tony. As soon as he said Tony, I was like, oh no.
I'm gonna be honest with you. That one got me. Because I didn't expect for him to die. They did such a great job. Number one, of keeping that under wraps. But number two, even in tying back to Infinity War, out of 6 million or whatever, there was one scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And he looks at him when it's about to happen. And he's like, if I tell you, it's not going to happen. And he looks at him and he goes, I am Iron Man. Damn! Oh, that was that. I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna watch Infinity War tonight, goddamn it. I'm sorry. You got me. Oh wow. Okay. Anyway, whatever. Um, suffice it to say, man, that watching this movie, it really gave me an appreciation for the entire journey. And look it, I don't think that every movie that we do, I know every movie that we do will not have this impact on me. I know it won't. But this one did, because in a way, even though it started with Iron Man, it really started with Captain America. And
Mm-hmm.
you see that, and in going back and knowing the story and seeing all the tie-ins, yeah, man. You gave it an 8 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I'm gonna give this movie a 9, which is weird because when I first saw it, I probably would have given it a 7 or maybe a
Mm-hmm.
6.5. But I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 specifically because, oh my God, just a great story, and I think Marvel did a great job of hanging on to all of the important core traits of who Captain America was and is from beginning to end. That's
Mm-hmm.
my thought on it. So that was great. Antonio's in the chat going crazy, so let me see what the hell he's talking about. Oh man, Antonio is truly one of one, dude. What's going on with this? Okay, well, let's see. He says, I don't think Marvel did justice to Vision's character, considering everything he went into in his creation. That's fair, and we'll get into that. Another time. I don't want to sully that moment. Like, I'm on a high right now. Like, I gotta be honest, George. As soon as I get off this damn podcast, I'm gonna go watch Infinity War again. I might just fast forward to that scene because, oh my God, just great.
Well,
Uh,
when I did my rewatch of the whole universe, there were moments where I wanted to skip ahead and be like, "Oh, I want to watch this movie." But
right.
I every time I was like, I need to watch just whatever's next. I can't skip to the end. And it made the experience of seeing Infinity War and Endgame again just so much better. And
Oh,
it, and in the way we're going to be watching it, we're going to be watching including all the multiverse tie-in movies. It's going to make even the experiences in No Way Home a lot better, or in Deadpool and Wolverine a lot better.
yeah. That and me too, Antonio. Like that. Oh my God, what a moment, man. What a that if ever there was a moment that resonated with everyone who ever watched every Marvel movie ever, it's that one right there. Because when he's specifically with Spider-Man, because War Machine, he knows War Machine is a soldier. So he
Mm-hmm.
knows what's going on. He's not going to say it, but he knows what's going on. But Peter Parker is a kid. And Tony Stark, and I'm going to say this is probably a little kooky, but Tony Stark is kind of a de facto dad to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's like you see, and Tom Holland does a great job of this. You see in that moment, like, Mr. Stark, we won. And then he realizes what's going on, and you go from euphoria to holy shit to just sadness,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it's oh, they did a great job, man. They did again, great job of that, and it really made me appreciate specifically Infinity War and Endgame,
Mm-hmm.
because there were so many tie-ins back to it. So anyway, we're at about time. What are we covering next week?
We're going to be covering next on the So because we're going to be watching these in chronological order, but also the multiverse tie-ins, we're going to be jumping over to a different universe, and we're going to be watching X-Men First Class.
Okay.
Actually, wait, let me double check. X-Men First Class takes place in 1962. Yeah, so that is the next thing we watch is X-Men First Class.
Okay. Yeah, man, just phenomenal. So 7 p.m. same time next week.
Oh yeah. And I do want to say going into X-Men First Class, another period piece similar in my opinion, the two best Marvel movies, and this is any universe, anything Marvel, the two best movies that do the best when it comes to the time period are Captain America: The First Avenger and X-Men First Class.
Agreed.
So I really like this movie. I can't wait to explore it next week.
Yeah, man, definitely. And it's going to be interesting to see how they treat, because Fantastic Four takes place in 60 what?
I was trying to figure that out. I have a question mark. I just know it's the 60s. So I think it's mid to late 60s.
Yeah.
So it will likely take place, like, if you're going to rewatch all the movies, it would likely take place after X-Men First Class.
Gotcha. All right. Well, hey, man, as always, Jordan, I appreciate you, man. This was fun. It always is with you. You know what I mean? My brother from another. Tell these folks where they can find you, bro.
Well, you can find me at Old Tegacy, ULTEGACY. We cover all things sports. I don't really talk much about comic book stuff, but like I post occasionally on like Twitter or X. But otherwise, I talk about Marvel right here every single Saturday.
And I'm glad you do, man. I'm glad. It's so funny. The first time we met, I think you and I did a show with Chris. And after the show ended up, we just started talking, and he and I started talking about Marvel. And we talked about Marvel for like an hour and a half. And after that, I was like, did we just become best friends? Like, did we really? Because, I mean, it was like, I really did find my twin. I mean, no, Jordan doesn't look like me, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We're here every Saturday. So next week, we'll be discussing X-Men First Class. Antonio, come back, man. Appreciate it as always. I just appreciate you being here, Antonio. You're hilarious. If you're in Atlanta, Antonio, I would love to meet you at a game or something because you just seem like you'd be so much fun. But anyway, guys, everyone who joined us in the chat and everyone who watched this, thank you so much for joining us. This was fun. I know I had fun. I know Jordan had fun. Antonio certainly had fun. And I hope you guys did too. I hope you guys have an amazing Saturday and just an amazing weekend. May or may not be back tomorrow with One Time for the Fan to be determined. But if not, we'll definitely be back Monday with Debo Vibes Monday evening. You guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you for joining us. I want to thank God for waking us up this morning and just giving us an opportunity to do this show. Thank you, Lord. And last but not least, I want to thank Mr. Jack Spade and Eric Parker, my brother, for giving me the opportunity to get into podcasting and start this. This was so much fun. You guys have an amazing day, and we'll see you when we see you. Good night, everybody.